Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Robots Are Coming. Mike, what are we doing today?
Hey, Francisco. Yeah, so the last several episodes that we've done a little bit of a pseudo cooking show with LLMs. We've been trying to start with an idea of a thing to make, and then we've been building it from scratch to see how quickly we can prototype something that otherwise would be hard to make. What we thought we'd try this time is something a little bit different. We're still going to try to, make something, and we're still going to focus on LLMs, but we're going to use Gemini, and we haven't used any of these Google products yet in this podcast. So we're going to mix it up in that way. And we're also not going to build a prototype. We're just going to try some of these different flavors of Gemini and give it similar prompts to see how we can tune some of these different Google products to see how we might be able to use them more effectively in certain use cases.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so like there are lots of different versions of Gemini, or at least a couple, and they are used in a few different products. And in terms of tuning, we'll probably just do we're not doing any sort of fine tuning, right? That's to beyond our skill sets, but we can adjust some of the parameters that the models we use and the constraints they use to see what kind of output we get.
Yep.
So cool. What are we, I guess, how are we going to test these, Mike?
Yeah, so what I thought we could do is work with something that a lot of people might be very familiar with and help us sort of evaluate these different flavors of Gemini, given that familiarity. So what I was thinking we could do is look at the Applebee's menu. And one thing that I've always wanted to do, especially if I go to a new restaurant and the menu is large, is I wish I could search the menu, Control F or Command F or whatever, just find the things that that I'm looking for and see if they have different options. You can't do that with a real physical menu, of course, but maybe we can do that with Gemini and some of these flavors of it.
Yeah, cool. So let's see. We're right now looking at your screen. You have a few tabs open. So
Yeah,
where are we
so
starting?
totally. So here we have our source material, right? It's the Applebee's menu. And then we've got a couple different flavors of Gemini that we can try out and just to sort of tour the shop here, so to speak. We've got when you just open up, Gemini.google.com, you get this pretty vanilla interface, and you can change the model, but there's really not much that you can do to customize it. Then we have in tab 2, AI Studio.google.com, which is, let me go back to exit out of settings here. Um, create prompt. There we go. We can do a whole bunch of things to sort of play around with the prompts. And maybe one thing that we can do here is open up this window where we can actually use two different versions of the model and configure some of the settings here. And then third and finally, we have NotebookLM, which is yet another Google product that's built on top of Gemini. And what we did here was we preloaded the Applebee's menu, a PDF version of it. I fed to NotebookLM. In addition, this URL, which if you scroll down has lists out some of the main categories of items that are on the menu. And unclear to me exactly how much NotebookLM's, this URL input actually crawls the site. I really don't know much about how it works, so I figured it'd be safer to at least feed it another version of the menu that has all the items.
Yeah, totally. Cool. So let's get started. I'm curious what kind of information they'll get back.
Yeah, me too. So maybe a common question that I usually throw at a very large menu. I am eating mostly vegetarian these days, so I figured we could start with just asking plain Jane Gemini here with the 2.0 Flash model. What are all the vegetarian options at Applebee's? Sides and mains. Not picky here, just looking for the gamut of what are my options.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see what we get.
Cool. So with this version, we haven't given it any specific information, right? We haven't fed it the URL or the menu. it just said you just asked it for Applebee's vegetarian options, right? There's no
That's right. Yeah, there's
okay.
no tuning of this prompt here.
Yeah. Okay. So it looks like it went out and I'm not sure why there's a PETA source there, but
Yeah. But we do have, so interestingly, okay, so main dishes may require modifications. Impossible cheeseburger, veggie burger. These kind of feel like the same thing to me, although maybe there's a different patty. It's very not specific. Okay, but cool. I've got a sense. I know the gist of the Applebee's menu. They've got steaks and burgers and salads and stuff. So cool. This is seeming reasonable.
yeah. It's funny that I am curious like why it picked those sources and not there was like nothing specific to Applebee's website in the sources at all. Like if you scroll down, right? It didn't go out and like look for if you keep scrolling. There's like
Oh yeah, yeah.
right.
This
So
totally. Yeah, I see what you mean. Why? Okay, maybe it latched on to vegetarian, and so I'm getting. But
yeah.
still, yeah, that seems a little left field from the prompt that I gave it.
Yep.
Interesting. So, what if we took this same exact prompt and we then played with a couple of the things that we can adjust in Google's AI Studio here? So, it looks like this version of Gemini is still using the 2.0 Flash model. So we could change the model. We could use different models for each of these versions. How's that? We could use the thinking experimental model and then maybe flashlight.
Yeah, I think we can either one. I think I don't know if the flashlight has the web search on, so we could try that.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. So if you're thinking like if we use the same model, but then in settings here, we use grounding with Google search.
Exactly. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So we're at least changing something here. And this temperature tile is interesting. The allowable creativity, we can just turn that down to 0 and get the most like plain Jane response possible.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have grounding with flash and then thinking just doesn't have grounding at all, right?
Yeah, we didn't adjust any of the settings here. I mean, we could. Is there anything that you would recommend that we adjust on this?
I think it's fine. It's not
Cool.
going to have search, right? So even though like thinking might be better at certain tasks, if it doesn't have the actual menu to reference, it might just, I wonder, I'm curious what's going to come back.
Yeah, let's find out. So you can see this one thinking a little bit. Okay, so we got our output here in 4.2 seconds. This one is done. So this one just inherently takes a little bit longer, it seems. And wow, I'm a little overwhelmed at the verboseness here of the one on the right. But let's take a quick tour. So vegetarian main course options with modifications, impossible cheeseburgers, salads, pasta. Okay. Cool. So I like that this one just sort of lists out the things really quickly for the use case that I had in mind. I feel like this is great, and side dishes cool. Search sources. Scribd.com. I'm curious.
What does that question mark say? When you over it?
Search sources are provided when a significant portion of the model response comes from a particular source.
Interesting.
But this is not Applebee's, so I'm kind of confused.
Yeah.
And here. Oh, interesting.
Did it find an Applebee's menu on like some PDF sharing website?
It looks like it may have. Wow. But this looks very unofficial.
Yeah.
This is not.
What does the footer say of that document?
The footer information is applicable as of. Wow. So it's a 2-year-old Applebee's menu. Maybe.
Does Applebee's website have a menu at all?
Well, it does. I mean, it's got this. It doesn't have a PDF one that I could find,
So
but
you have
it's
to
got.
click into each one
Yeah, you click
individually.
into each one, and you can see the
Oh.
details of each option. So this is why when I was uploading this to or pointing the Notebook LM, which we'll get to in a second,
Mhm.
to this menu, I was not super confident that it actually like crawled this page. And of
Yeah.
course, I didn't want to give it every single URL. That would just
Mhm.
defeat the purpose of being fast and easy.
Yeah.
Um, but at any rate, that's kind of bizarre to me. But um, at any rate, we may or may not have added the added detail resolution to this search through a menu that may or may not actually be official.
It's
Um,
super questionable. Well, like it's
yeah.
interesting to see the searches that it did on Google. If you scroll to the bottom there, like I think that's sounds like it used those queries to help populate this response potentially, but
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't know like what it did there.
Yeah. Super interesting. Okay. Well, so there we go. That's what we got with Gemini 2.0 with Google search enabled and temperature set to 0. And then here was our unadulterated like
Yeah.
switch of the thinking experimental model. And we can see the thoughts that it had as it was trying to understand our request. Once it listed the vegetarian options at Applebee's, and in brainstorming and restaurant type consideration. So a lot of this, I mean, I see verbosity in the output and its thinking. This feels to me kind of unnecessary. Like, why is it? I don't know. I felt like my prompt was more specific than a lot of the thinking I'm seeing it do here. But resource identification website is the key. Full menu. Cool. Interesting. Okay, so let's go down. Wow, wow, wow. Okay, so that was just all the thinking step that took
Hmm.
9 seconds. And then okay, so now it gives me a summary of the restaurant, vegetarian option, mains, pasta, salads. This one doesn't seem to the other two like led with the burger, right? Like the impossible burger and a veggie burger. And I'm not even seeing that at all here. Right? That's kind of wild.
Yeah.
Am I
Yeah.
crazy? There's no burger here. There's a burger on the left, but we have no burger on the right. Ooh, wait. But this is in the thinking step. So it
Yeah.
thought about burgers, but then when it actually gave me the output, there's no burger in here. Hmm.
Interesting. Well, I think like
Yes.
it's hard to see. I think like there's like this is one of the challenges where it's like it knows a lot, but in this case, knowing the specific items of a menu, it's like it's not part of this training. So there's no way that it's gonna be able to figure it out. Um, so in here with like a little bit of searches, and on the left side here with Flash, searching for a sketchy menu and maybe something else, it has it, right? I wish it actually didn't show us a sketchy menu. I think I'd be less concerned about the menu items if it just like spit this out, you know?
Yeah, me too. And now I'm kind of curious if we go to the real menu. Let's go back here. There was a way to search this menu, and I want to
Mm,
search for impossible. Okay, so impossible cheeseburger is indeed there.
yeah.
Cool. All right. So nevertheless, we did have somewhat of a sketchy menu, but it is nice to at least sort of verify that that is
Hmm.
indeed there.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Which makes me a little, more disappointed in the thinking model's output. Again, we didn't. I'm setting the bar very high here, but um, it took more time, and it gave us less specificity in the output.
Yeah, and I think it's also like it's probably not the best model for I think it's probably a better model for a bunch of other tasks. It's actually
Mhm.
my favorite model when I use it for other things, but this is not the type of task where you wanna because it doesn't have web search and it's like very much like obviously thinking, right? So it adds a bunch of
Mhm.
extra steps to it when it's like it's a seemingly simple retrieval task. So it's
Totally.
yeah.
Yeah, it is more of like a conventional, almost like a Google search, right? That I'm trying to do here. I'm effectively just trying to search this menu.
Hmm.
But so just to kind of zoom out for a second, you're saying that this is your favorite model, like, and we're not really using it for maybe its best purpose. Like, what are some of the things that you tend to get the most value out of the thinking model?
Yeah, I would say it's like some of the stuff I use it for is to just break down and think through like a problem space. So like where it doesn't need to go out and look for information. So if I say, "Hey, tell me about this topic," that maybe it has like might have just a lot of like it's not necessarily recent. It will be able to just like break it down. Like if you want to learn about I don't know some like concept, either scientific concept or like uh economic concept or whatever the topic is, right? If it's something that you don't know about and you feel like there's a textbook out there for it and you just wanted to break it down for you, it'll probably be able to do that really quickly, right?
Hmm.
But in this case of finding specific menu items, it's not going to be doing that.
Is there a restaurant related prompt that we might be able to showcase maybe the delta between Gemini 2.0 Flash and the thinking variant? Just
uh,
for funsies before we go to Notebook LM and try the same prompt that we just did.
yeah. I would say one thing that could be interesting to ask it, it's like how I wonder if you could ask it to, as someone that is vegetarian that's going to like this type of restaurant, what type of menu items are safest to eat without it affecting like your dietary restrictions, right? I feel like that's the thing that could be interesting because it'll probably be able to like reason about like how kitchens work, how food handling works, what type of things are easier to like remove or add. Like so like I think there's like some modifications examples there. Like, the I don't know, there's some dish with chicken and it was suggesting to like just remove the chicken and like, is that still worth ordering? I feel like there's like some more of that would be interesting.
So, as someone who is going to, someone who is vegetarian going to a restaurant like Applebee's, what do you think are some of the safest options for me to consider?
Yeah. Is there like some other like dietary restriction? Like safest in this case, it will ask like, is that like food allergy thing or is it like a food preference thing? Because I know
Mm,
like for some vegetarians might be like, I don't want, even if like the broth was cooked with like certain things, I don't want it,
yeah. Let's instead of vegetarian, let's say it's someone who um has a strong allergic reaction to peanuts. Going to a restaurant like Applebee's, what do you think are some of the safest options for me to consider? Yeah. So peanut allergy. I don't know much like, but Applebee's has a lot of things. Maybe there's like peanuts in the sauce. Maybe there's peanuts in like whatever. Let's see. I'm curious.
Cool. So there's if you scroll down, there'll
Here
probably
we
be more stuff there.
Okay, so this one, just going at it here, and then we got the thinking model catching up. Whoa.
Do you want to close out the sidebar and then we could make it a little bit more width there?
Yeah, there we go. I'm still blown away by just how much content this one is producing. This is wild to me. And
Peanut
there's like
allergies are a serious topic, dude.
so much. Well, yeah, apparently.
I'm
Um,
curious what they thought about. Let's see.
yeah,
I
let's
always, I
see.
always like to read it. It's kind of fun for me to read through it.
Well, and it's kind of funny to me too because there's so much content here. It practically is output in it. Well, it is output in its own right, but some of this might just be as usable, if not more so, than the what it's considering to be the final output. So here's my thinking process: understand the core problem.
Not specifically allergy friendly. Shots fired.
The user has a severe problem, a
Yeah.
severe peanut allergy. This is not just a preference, but a serious health risk. Yeah. Identify key ingredients, cross contamination. This is huge.
So
Yeah.
like that whole section, I feel like that's like really interesting. Like I don't have like, a lot of experience with like back of the kitchen type stuff, but like this is super interesting to think about, right? It's like, and then when you're looking at it like a dish and description, you could probably judge how safe it might be to consider,
Mhm.
or like questions to potentially ask if you're Ooh, that could actually be another thing. It's like follow up. It's like, what question should I ask? When I'm at the restaurant ordering things, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, all this stuff I don't really tend to think about shared fryers, prep surfaces, utensils, for sure. Contamination is a major concern. Yep, yep, yep. Yeah, so I'm curious like how much of this that it's identifying as a key area of risk is like makes its way into the final output that it gives
Yeah.
us. It seems to kind of do this formulaic thing too, and I don't have much experience using this thinking model, the Gemini variant, but I remember seeing brainstorm in its previous prompt that we gave it to. Maybe it's got like a set sequence that it goes through. Yeah, anything in here? Communicating clearly and repeatedly, asking specific questions. Don't just say peanut allergy. Ask about oils cross contamination. Interesting. There you go.
Yeah.
Things to ask for. Avoid high
Choose
risk
simpler
foods.
dishes. That's a good tip.
Trust your gut. Something feels unsafe, don't eat it.
Oh
Don't
man,
take
I feel
food
like
from
I'm learning a
strangers.
bunch just reading through this.
Yeah, there's so much stuff here. Categorize the menu into risk levels: high risk, medium risk, low.
Yeah, the fried food ones make sense. Shared fryers.
Yeah.
At the end of this, you're just gonna order like a bowl of like bread and dip it in water, and that's your dish.
um okay, let's get to some of the output here. I still will say again, I just feel like there's a lot to read here.
Yeah.
I feel, well, and why I say that is my experience with a lot of these is very kind of quick iterations.
Yeah.
Especially if we're building something, right? Like, cool, you're kind of riffing with the model. This kind of, it's like, well, I give it a thing. Ooh, I'm going to stop and read. There's like 10 minutes of stuff to read here if we read through the whole thing.
Right. Exactly.
But let's see. So, okay. So navigating restaurants with severe peanut allergies is incredibly stressful. Thank you. I feel heard and seen by this model. Let me be absolutely clear up front. This feels like it's about to give me a speech.
Yeah.
Make no mistake, no
Let me be.
restaurant,
Yeah.
including Applebee's, can guarantee 100% peanut-free environment. Thank you. Way to cover yourself there. Okay, so before you go, call ahead, strongly recommended. Speak to the manager directly.
Yeah.
Or chef if possible. Clearly state the severity of your allergy. Yes, inquire about peanut usage, cross-contamination protocols. Cool. So we're seeing some of the stuff that it was going through in its sort of thought evaluation process make its way into the content here. Assess their response, gauge their understanding and willingness to accommodate. This is really thorough. When you I feel like it, I don't remember my prompt having this gravity. This feels grave.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
dire.
Yeah.
And I feel like I was just kind of like, hey, tell me the things that are safe for a peanut allergy. And this is kind of wild. Ask detailed questions about menu items you're considering. Assume nothing is safe until proven otherwise. Wow. Just wow. That's all I can say. Potentially safer options. So, like, yeah, let's get to the options here. Because I feel like that's really all I wanted. What? Yeah. So taking a step back, what I was expecting was a list of items, and here I've gotten like a lot of other things to consider, which are good. And I kind of wish it would have just like led with the items. Okay, so now we're kind of getting here. Plain steamed broccoli, and green beans. Big potato plain. Ooh, French fries are extremely risky.
Yeah.
I don't know why this is cracking me up so much. Now we've gone from italics and bolds to all caps.
It's serious.
It's yeah. Apparently. Yes.
Dependent on salad dressing. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's
Yeah,
true. Yeah,
peanut
you might think it's
dressings.
safe, but it's not with the
For
dressing.
sure. Assume nothing is safe. Um, wow. Okay. So like I said, there's so much content that it generated here.
Yeah.
I'm honestly overwhelmed by the thinking model.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's look at the other one then.
Oh, so we want to
Oh no, like we didn't look at the left side there.
I feel like, yeah, we skimmed through this one a little bit, right? And it did, yeah. So we've got immediate action. So this one
Uh,
still does kind of
Yeah.
similarly.
I think our prompt was essentially like what can we order? And they gave us like approaches also.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the first prompt. Our second prompt is someone. Oh, okay. So I did say strong allergic reaction. Okay.
Mm,
So
yeah.
sure. Given your severe peanut allergy, navigating a restaurant like Applebee's requires extra caution. Okay. Inform your server.
Yeah.
This one doesn't have the sort of graveness of the language though that I
Yeah.
was seeing. Um,
But I feel like the
and
recommendations seem similar too.
they do.
Yeah.
Yes. Safer menu choices,
Mm-hmm.
but still require verification. Grilled or baked potato, salads with extreme caution. So we got a little bit of the extremeness here, but I don't see all the uppercase. Oh, and your question exactly. It anticipated the follow-up question of things you can ask. Important considerations. Don't be afraid to be difficult. Your health is the priority. It's okay. We're being empowered.
Yeah. It makes me feel a bit of gratitude that neither one of us have this peanut allergy condition.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do not have to carry an EpiPen.
Yeah.
And wow, consider calling ahead. Disclaimer. I am an AI and cannot provide medical advice. Always consult with your doctor or allergist. Okay, so zooming out from both of these, I feel like the content of the in the results, the final result that we got was very similar. They were kind of structured the same way. Um,
Yeah.
I still feel like the amount of content that we got here, um, so much more, and a lot of time spent to generate the result. I'm curious how you think about where we got to with this prompt in both of these models.
Yeah. So I think there's like it's the same type of limitation that both have, right? It's like they don't have specific information about Applebee's peanut allergy menu, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't exist, but they both give us similar strategies. I think the thinking one was a lot more severe. And
Mm-hmm.
I th- like I said, I enjoy reading through the thinking mode or like the thinking that it has because it's like it was breaking down. It's like, oh, where could contamination happen, right? So like I understand now, even though I don't have like an actual peanut allergy, I understand how like fryers and shared fryers, like fried food, could
Mm-hmm.
be contaminated with like different items based on like whatever allergy might be, right? So that was something really interesting, and like we still don't end up with like we have some items of like potential menu items that we could order if we wanted to. And I feel like you could probably apply this to maybe a vegetarian angle potentially. Again,
Totally.
with depending on like what your um how strict you want to be with like food and meat contamination in your food.
Well, and you also said a really interesting point, after we sort of read both of these, and to me, I read this and this sounds so dire, right? And what, and we made this prompt in the hypothetical, right? Because neither of us had this allergy, and so what I was expecting was a list of items, but perhaps if I did indeed have this allergy, the list of items is actually not maybe as helpful as all these considerations and tactics that it's giving me. Um,
Yeah. Yeah,
so
potentially.
yeah, interesting. Um, Yeah, it also makes the idea of sort of testing some of the output that you get in the hypothetical kind of difficult. If you yourself don't actually relate necessarily to the question, if you're just trying to test something out. Okay, so we've now tested 3 flavors of Gemini, and the last one that we wanted to test was using a product called NotebookLM. And this one I've used a couple times to throw lots of content. My understanding is that this is really geared for kind of literature review. And I think I saw this initially framed somewhere as a tool for researchers and academics to do as a study aid, really. And so, with that in mind, you can give it source material, either web links, PDFs, and a bunch of other things. I think it can maybe even accept audio files and Google Docs links.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and then use those to kind of the way that we asked Gemini 2.0 Flash here to search Google. We're short circuiting that a little bit by giving it the exact material that we want. And there's an initial step here where you give it the material and then it takes a little time to process what you've given it. So we've fast forwarded through that step and now we're ready to query these 2 pieces of content that we gave it. So like I said, originally too, this is a PDF version of the menu that has all the items and descriptions for each. And then this here is this website. This page, though, if we go back here, so there's not
Mhm.
actually that much information here. We just have the sort of categories of items. But with this plus the PDF menu, we should have a pretty comprehensive set of all the items that are available.
Yeah. Yeah. Where did you get the menu from?
Good question. I think I found this in a regular Google search. Um, and I could not tell you the provenance of this menu. um, I don't know. Let's see if it'll open it up. Um, mm. It had branding that made me feel like this was an actual menu.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
More so than the one that we saw in the search result that Google found.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Let's ask it and see what it comes back with.
Okay, so let's give it the original prompt that we had. And I think we should, so let's give it this one first.
Hmm.
And I feel like maybe we could try flavors of this. Like one of my hopes would be that given all of this very specific content that we provide it, I'd be able to query this data set without needing to add qualifiers like at Applebee's, for example. Like it should be
Mm,
obvious that it's at Applebee's because I just gave it 2 flavors of
right.
the Applebee's menu.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. Here's an Applebee's menu. There's an Applebee's menu sources, but it's not fully accessible. Interesting. Yeah, that's the uh
Oh, what if you uncheck it and then ask it? Well, yeah, uncheck it and then
ooh,
ask
yeah,
it
we can
again
try that.
after.
Let's look through the rest of this one and see what it gave us. Appetizers, burgers, 1. What's this?
That's a PDF. I
Oh,
think the
this is a
source.
link, the link, like
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
citation. Interesting. And okay. Item not currently available. Yeah, I was curious about because we only had 2 items here and this
Hmm.
3rd citation.
Yeah.
I'm
So is that the website?
I'm honestly confused about this because it's unclear to me what that is.
I think it's like the scraped text from the source potentially. That's my guess.
Yeah, it could be.
So if you maybe clicked into the PDF and maybe see if you can start a new chat. Uh,
Just the PDF.
yeah.
Okay. And do we want to give it the same prompt?
Yeah. Yeah. It might come back with the same thing because it seemed like it was already.
Ah, interesting. So this one is shorter
Hmm.
and it only references this one.
Yeah. Interesting. Because so like these options are interesting because I can look at them and I'm assuming they're all vegetarian, right? Like I can't assume there's any sort of non-vegetarian items in there. Versus like in the previous searches, they would return items that could be modified to a vegetarian, but we also see that there's no burger in here.
Totally. You know what? Let's actually take a quick peek here and we can pull in this PDF into the browser. So this is the menu that I found.
Mm,
And let's see if we can find burger. Oh, maybe
yeah.
this could be just all raster. Yep, this is not.
But I think
Oh, interesting.
it should still be able to understand images.
Mm,
Yeah. One thing that we could check if you scroll, maybe, I mean, we can keep scrolling through, but one
yeah.
thing that I would check for is like if you, um, if we want to verify that it actually understands the menu, we can pick a section, right? There's
Oh,
no,
yeah, there's no Impossible Burger here. So maybe we could ask it how many burgers are in the burgers section,
yeah. Mhm.
and we should see 6.
Yeah.
Uh, how many?
And what are they?
Ooh, yeah.
How many burgers and what are they?
Does how many burgers are there and what are they? List each of them.
And the price? No,
And
I'm just, I'm getting greedy.
well, I mean, we have it there. Yeah.
Yeah.
How well can it scrape the image?
I think it should be
Hey.
able to. Is that I think there's more than
Yeah, but Impossible Burger,
interesting.
you are not there
It might be. Maybe it's in a different section.
because we have 6 burgers here, and then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's kind of frustrating now is I can't actually search this
Such
one. But hang on. In what section is the Impossible?
mm,
I'm not seeing it in the burgers section. It's listed in the burgers section of the Applebee's menu. Its price is $13.99. I think you're gaslighting me,
wait, if we
model.
scroll down a little bit, let's see. Are there more things?
Extras, kids menu, beverages. Like maybe there's a vegetarian section. Which meal deals? No, there is not. There is one burgers section. There is no Impossible Burgers. And
If you keep scrolling up, there's
let's see, wraps, tacos, sandwiches. Ooh. Seafood, chicken, steaks. Nope. Definitely not. This is bold faced here. False. There is no Impossible Burger in this menu PDF. This is just going to devolve into arguing. While the conversation history indicates that the Impossible Burger is in the burger section, it is not present in the provided Applebee's menu PDF. Thank you.
interesting.
So basically, what I'm hearing is, so I told you there was, but it's not in the menu.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
I said there was. So take that for what you will.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. But now I'm really curious just to do a really quick check here. This whiskey bacon burger I did see there. Is the price right? $13.29 it should be. Pasta, sandwiches, burgers, whiskey bacon burger, $10.89. Okay. So this is making me wonder. So this is a little sus. and I think here's where, as a tester of this model and not really understanding uh what its relative strengths and weaknesses are.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder if we could give it a lot more to work with if we gave it a PDF that had, scannable
Yeah.
text.
Yeah. I wonder if you could upload, if you go back to like either Gemini, yeah, start a new chat, because you can, I think you can add, can you add on the plus side there, on next to your, yeah, can you drop in a file?
Oh yeah, let's see. So we want to give it the same PDF.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's try it. Okay.
How many burgers? Or what are the vegetarian options? That's what we started with.
Yeah.
Let's start easy, and then and then
in this menu. Ooh.
ask how many burgers. This is
Yeah, so
interesting.
I'm getting
Yeah.
the sense that it's not that great at extracting text from an image.
Yeah, I think there's something there. I would do wonder, is it's just an image, right? There's no like scannable text on the PDF. So I feel like that is what's tripping it up, probably.
Yeah, and I didn't realize that initially, but
Actually,
it's
here's another test. Sorry to interrupt.
yeah, go for it.
Take a screenshot of the burger section. Just take a screenshot and upload as an image. And then start a new chat. So there's no
We want to okay,
yeah, there's no
chat.
Yeah.
Oops, that didn't save the screenshot to my desktop. Let's do it again. Grab you, drop you in here. Cool. So how many burgers are in this image?
Ooh, that's an interesting one. Okay, there are 6 burgers.
Cool.
Ask
List
about yeah, yep.
Yeah, list the name and price of each burger. So that's interesting.
Wait, that's so weird. Because like, I guess, is it not getting the context? So like, if you drop the image again and then ask it to count the burgers and get the price, I feel like
Got it. Yeah. Let me
that's
so I need to save
yeah.
this on my desktop because I just drag it straight into the chat and it doesn't save on the desktop. So here we go. Okay, so list the names and prices of each burger in this menu.
Is that right?
1089 is our whiskey bacon burger. 1089. Classic burger was 829. Nice. Okay. So I think we're learning something about its context window with respect to attachments that you add to it.
Yeah, I was so thrown off by it because the image is just right above. So like, why would it not reference it? And
Yeah, totally.
if it can work for the image, why can't it work with the PDF? So we tried 3 versions of this. I think the PDF is definitely something to try next time, to see like if we have a PDF that has the text sources or scannable text in it, whether that changes it. But I also don't want to necessarily verify that from my side as a user. Because if you say you can upload a file and I upload it, I would expect you to be able to like understand what's in it.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that was a little frustrating here was that it kind of failed silently, right? Like we assumed that because to your point, it's like right up here in the message above, we just gave it that. And um, over the last couple of years, these chatbots are getting really good at remembering, context from previous messages. So it kind of sets that expectation that this is now part of the conversation, but it's
Yeah.
maybe not.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in this case, with the PDF that's just all images, some kind of feedback too. It's taking in this content and Notebook LM that I'm giving it, and when we query it, there I feel like maybe I'm missing a quality control step or some kind of evaluation of the content that I gave it. And I think
Mm.
what ended up happening is like you give it all this stuff, like you said, it's just saying, "Hey, give me files." We gave it files, and then we start the conversation, and it's not sort of summarizing and saying like, "Oh, okay, well, you gave me an image, so here's the kinds of questions that you can ask of this, and
Hmm.
here's what I can do for you."
Yeah. At the top of it, when you refresh the chat, did it? I think it summarized some of the things that were in the PDF, right? So it says a little bit about what's there. Maybe that is a includes both the URL and the PDF, and maybe that was like the misleading part of
Mm-hmm.
the summary. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
I agree that being able to have maybe some stats about the PDF, at least like, hey, this PDF has like this many pages, these are the sections of the PDF, or even the thing that we discovered whether it's a scannable PDF or not. I don't know if those are all the different ways that you might describe and and confirm the type of PDF that it's seeing,
Yeah.
but something there seems like it would be useful.
Totally. I'm also I'm kind of tempted, but I will not do this because it takes a while to compile this when I've done this in the past. But I am very intrigued to hear a 10-minute deep dive conversation about the Applebee's menu.
We swear
Uh,
that this episode is not sponsored by Applebee's because obviously we
yeah.
showcase how dangerous their peanut allergy food selections would be. So
Indeed, yes. Take care, take caution, and trust your gut. That's what I took away from our very, very thorough analysis. Also, eat simply.
yeah, yeah.
So I'm curious. You were talking about this before. We tried these 4 different flavors here, um, and some of the trade-offs, some of the shortcomings too of the content, in addition to the conversation that you provide it. Um, and where something like maybe the thinking experimental model could be more appropriate for certain types of questions than simple lists. I'm curious if there's any other takeaways that you have from the experience that we just went through.
Yeah, I think there are a bunch of takeaways from like us folks that are watching this or that might be building with LLMs. And I think there's also takeaways from like a consumer side. It's like the of layers of complexity and points of failure that could happen when you think about what is available inside the model. So there's one thing which is like the different model capabilities, right? Between like Gemini 2 Flash and thinking, that's like one thing. Then there's also the ability to like turn on like grounding with search. That's another one. And then the ability to provide it documents, in this case a PDF, and then not knowing how well it could parse through that. So like each one of these models could be useful if you knew the edges of their abilities, right?
Mm,
So in this case, knowing that thinking without search abilities to ground it is probably not better than getting a list of menus. But as a user, understanding that nuance between all the different models, all the different abilities, and what it can parse through with documents you upload, it's a lot.
Totally. Yeah, and I really kind of glossed over this when sort of looking at these different models here that we can choose from. Yeah, they do kind of give you some sense of what these are useful for, right? Like this one here, I'm just skimming what it says in the best for area, multimodal understanding, real-time streaming, native tool use. That's I don't understand what that even means. um Yeah,
Yeah.
versus the pro experimental or the thinking one here, multimodal understanding, reasoning, coding. So these almost seem like it, yeah, there's not a whole lot of guidance to your point about like what the edges are and where
Yeah.
it seems like they're more similar than different as stated here,
Hmm.
but we saw very different output.
Yeah. And granted, like, AI Studio is for developers. Like, this is not supposed to be consumer facing, but
Mm-hmm.
in all fairness, if you look at that drop down on the consumer side, is that enough context to help people understand like which one to choose, right? I also don't know. I think it's hard from like a consumer side to decide
Totally.
when to use which one.
And there's new models that are coming out very frequently with different qualities and characteristics. And this one to me, so it's really interesting to see in this text here. It's a thinking model, so it works a little bit different than 2.0 Flash, but reasoning across YouTube Maps and search specifically called out is kind of confusing to me.
Hmm.
It's like, yeah,
Yeah, totally.
it's a very rapidly changing landscape, as we both understand very dearly.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's challenging on the consumer side, and there's definitely a lot of stuff to understand on for people that are building with these. Um, so I think it's maybe next time at some point we'll eventually figure out what the vegetarian dishes are options are at Applebee's.
Until then, it's going to be a cliffhanger, folks. You're just going to have to go.
Cool. All right.
Again, this is not a commercial. Uh,
All right. We'll see y'all later. Thanks.
See ya.